Let's talk about the Elite Eight matchup between Kansas State and FAU taking place on Saturday. Kansas State's coming off one of the most epic college basketball games you're ever going to see. And let me preface this by saying the two things that concern me for Kansas State, it's not the history, it's not the fact that, the last couple of Elite Eights they've gotten to, they end up losing to lesser teams they're favored against. Of course, 2018 was Loyola Chicago. That history doesn't bother me. History's overrated from that perspective. When you win a game of that magnitude on, Madison Square Garden, game of the tournament, 4 guys from New York City, overtime, tired legs, emotional, that bothers me when you're playing 2 days later. Marquise Noel's ankle concerns me. Not a ton, but he's not going to be 100%. Once that adrenaline ran off on Thursday night, my guess is he had a lot of work done yesterday to try to get this thing ready for today. So that is definitely a concern. But you look at this game, and here's what this comes down to for me. If I'm Kansas State, I've got the 2 best players in this game, in Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson. That's what I've got. I understand tired legs might be a thing, but we've got a trip on the Final Four to the line here. That's what this is all about. That's what this game is going to mean for Kansas State. And for a Kansas State team that likes to get it up and down the court, we know that's what they do. They're turnover prone. We understand that. But when you look at this team and where they succeed and what they do well, we know what they do well. We know they can put buckets up in numbers very quickly. They want to keep this game moving up and down the floor. They're 3rd in the Big 12 in field goal percentage. They're 3rd in the Big 12 in scoring. They're not a great three-point shooting team, but obviously they were very good the other night, and that made all the difference in the world for this team. Now, for Florida Atlantic, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, I think FAU's path has been wildly overrated. FAU struggled with Fairleigh Dickinson. They beat Memphis by a point in an 8-9 matchup. They get to play a 16 seed in the second round in Fairleigh Dickinson, right? Then they get a Tennessee team in the Sweet 16, and Tennessee, with all due respect, Rick Barnes, that guy can't get beyond a Sweet 16. He's incapable of doing it. Florida Atlantic has arguably had the easiest path to get to this point in time. That's a reality for them. And I think, like so many teams from mid-majors, now it hasn't necessarily been the case this year, but like a lot of mid-majors, what you see happen is they play competition who night in, night out is dealing with teams like the Big 12 Conference, and sometimes they struggle. And I believe that very well could end up happening tonight with Florida Atlantic. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, who's been tougher in the tournament than this K-State team? I got the 2 best players, by the way, New York City guy and Marquise Noel. Yes, the ankle concerns me, but the way that this team is clicking, gelling, meshing, boy, I'm going to take my bet. I'm going to take my bet that Kansas State gets this thing done. Yes, Florida Atlantic can swarm. It's got guys going up for every rebound, and it can really, really hit the 3. That is true. There's no doubt about it. I'm not taking anything away from them. But here's the X factor. Kansas State has the best 3-point defense in the Big 12 this year at 30.5%. So give me Kansas State going to a Final Four. The Wildcats beat FAU by a score of 82-76 to punch that Final Four ticket. Go K-State.